now fine-tunes his war plans and gets ready to launch his strike missions. As a principle, it is important to first disable the enemy's radars, the opponent's eyes and ears in aerial warfare. Please shift your gaze towards target number 1, straight in front of us, slightly to the right. A simulated enemy radar site. As the radar churns, its electromagnetic waves are picked up by our AVACs. On this information, an unmanned precision weapon has already been launched from hundreds of kilometers away. The weapon is in flight towards the unsuspecting radar. Ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, the weapon has arrived in our general area, and through its internal algorithm, it is calculating its trajectory. The weapon impacts. The radar has been disabled, and we have created a gap in the enemy's defense coverage. While we await the next mission, let me tell you that any modern Air Force develops a multi-layered air defense cover to defend its vital areas. The enemy too would have an array of radars covering its airspace from high altitudes in excess of 20,000 feet to right down to tens of feet at low levels. Targeting of enemy radars is grouped under counter-air operations and specifically under suppression of enemy air defense, or SEAD. SEAD is a military action taken to suppress enemy surface-based air defenses, including not only surface-to-air missiles and artillery, but also interrelated systems such as early warning radars and command, control, and communication functions.
Please look straight in front and slightly to the left for target number 2, which depicts another radar site. As we speak, 2 Mirage 2000 aircraft are fast approaching the target. Each aircraft is armed with 5 250 kg fragmentation bombs. The aircraft shall release the bombs in a dive attack and then pull up right in front of us. Entering the dive, they shall release flares, the bright fireballs in the sky, to fool any enemy heat-seeking surface-to-air missile or SAM that could be fired at them. The massive ordnance planned for drop shall not only put the radar vehicle out of action, but also significantly damage the adversary's other vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, look to your right. High above your shoulder, watch as the aircraft enters into the dive. Flare dispensed. In a steady dive. Bombs away. Shift your eyes onto the target. Once again. Please look right. See the wingman following his leader towards the target. The fragmentation bombs have shredded the target to bits.
Runways at air bases are crucial for operation by the enemy's air force. With its radar coverage degraded, our strikes can now push deeper, undetected, to target the enemy's forward air bases. Look half left, ladies and gentlemen. Target number 3 depicts one such forward enemy airbase. It takes massive bombs to break concrete runways. Coming up next are 4 Su-30 MKIs, which will drop 4 450 kg high-speed low-drag or HSLD bombs, each on the runway of the target airfield. As the enemy's short-range self-defense weapons deployed at the airbase are still active, our aircraft will release these bombs from medium altitude in level flight. The Su-30 pilot, with the help of the onboard highly accurate mission computer, shall deliver these bombs. Ladies and gentlemen, look left, high above your shoulder. The first 2 Su-30s are fast approaching the target. Weapons released. Watch how the bombs glide towards the target. What an impact! The enemy's runway has been severely damaged. Till such time it is repaired, the enemy cannot launch his aircraft from this base to counter our strikes in this sector.
Fuel is vital for operation from any airbase. As the Sukhoi 30s damage the runway, our commander plans to use MiG-27 aircraft to target enemy fuel storages next to the target airbase. Please look half right. Target number 4 depicts this installation. The MiG-27 aircraft carries various types of armament loads. One of them is the 80mm heavy caliber rocket. The aircraft is armed with 2 rocket pods, with each pod carrying 20 rockets. We shall shortly see the devastating effect of these rockets as the 2 MiG-27 fire a barrage of 40 rockets each on target number 4. Please look to your right above the shoulder. You can now see the first aircraft swoop down in a 20-degree dive. Steady in a dive. It fires a salvo of 80mm rockets. Eyes again to the right, the wingman follows his leader's attack to take on the remaining fuel storage. A barrage of rockets like these penetrates and ignites fuel storage tanks, leaving an actual fuel storage engulfed in an uncontrolled fire.
Meanwhile, a Su-30 in the area has spotted an enemy surface-to-surface missile or SSM mobile launcher vehicle on its synthetic aperture radar or SAR. This launcher is likely to target our land formations. This is depicted by target number 5, located in front of us slightly to the right. The target is simulating the transporter erector launcher or TEL of this SSM. To execute this mission, a Su-30 MKI is planned to drop a laser-guided bomb. Ladies and gentlemen, look left high above your shoulder. You can see the Su-30. Even as we speak, the bomb has already been dropped. Eyes now on the target. A direct hit! We have just demonstrated our ability to detect and destroy such mobile launchers with our precision target capability.
During a war, a bulk of the Indian Air Force's missions is aimed at destroying the war-waging potential of the enemy surface forces or army elements. These are called counter-surface force operations. Up next is target number 6, depicting an ammunition dump. This target is located straight ahead, slightly to your right. Typically, such ammunition dumps are spread over a large area where the ammunition is stored under different types of shelters. Therefore, a number of heavy bombs shall be dropped to cover the area. 2 deep strike Jaguar aircraft, each carrying 3,000-pound RTU bombs, shall address this target. RTU stands for Retarder Tail Unit. It is a parachute-like structure fitted at the rear of the bomb, which delays the weapon's fall. Look out for the Jaguars approaching from your right, flying low to avoid enemy's radar. Bombs gone. RTU's in play. And the enemy just lost critical weapon stores for his frontline troops.
With enemy airfields down, our Air Force has already achieved a favorable air situation over the battlefield, where our army elements are engaged. The panic caused by targeting of enemy ammunition dumps, petroleum storage areas, and radars has left the enemy floundering. a decision has now been taken to target the enemy's leadership in the sector. Target number 7 in front of us on the left depicts an enemy command and control center. Made in India, light combat aircraft, the Tejas, a lightweight multi-role fighter developed indigenously by the Aeronautical Development Agency, is planned to take on the target. Ladies and gentlemen, look high above your left shoulder. You can see the aircraft. A laser-guided bomb has already been dropped from the target. Eyes on the target now. The bomb explodes. The enemy leadership in the sector is in disarray.
Information from army elements has indicated that an enemy bunker complex is putting up heavy resistance to our army's advance. This is simulated by target number 8, which is sighted in front of us, slightly to the right. On the Army's request for an immediate airstrike, our commander has planned a 2-aircraft Jaguar strike at this enemy defensive position. The Jaguar is a versatile platform. It is equipped for the maritime role and is capable of employing an array of air-to-surface bombs and missiles. Today, each aircraft shall be dropping 3,000-pounder bombs on the target. Ladies and gentlemen, look for the aircraft approaching on your left high above. The lead aircraft is in a steady dive. On your screens, the bombs have been dropped. Look towards the target now. Number 2 is following his leader into the attack. Bombs away. Eyes again to the target. And that's a direct hit. The bunkers are racked by the massive blast waves.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Airborne Warning and Control System, or AWACS, has detected an enemy aircraft which is being simulated by a maneuverable, expendable aerial target, which we refer to as MEAT. Our Tejas, armed with air-to-air missiles and bombs in a swing role, is en route. Watch how the Tejas performs the interceptor role and maneuvers to fire an air-to-air missile. The infrared seeker head of the R-73 missile shall lock onto the heat emitted from the MEAT. The Tejas has swing roll capability. Having fired the missile, this Tejas shall in the same sortie turn around and come back soon to drop bombs on a ground target, thus destroying targets both in air and on ground. The R-73 missile has a proximity fuse. This ensures that even if the missile does not strike the target but passes close to it, the warhead will detonate. The resultant shrapnel sliced through vital components, bringing the enemy aircraft down. Ladies and gentlemen, look left. You can see the aircraft. The aircraft has already locked onto the target and prepares to fire. You can now see the MEAT simulating the enemy aircraft overhead in front of us. The missile darts towards the target. The missile passed very close to the target. Unlike an actual aircraft, the target size here was only a few feet, not large enough to trigger the proximity fuse, which would have been the case if it was an actual aircraft.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next mission presents the MiG-29 in a new role. This air superiority fighter aircraft is capable of attaining a max airspeed of 2,445 kilometers per hour, which translates into 2.3 Mach. So far, the aircraft has been exclusively used by the Indian Air Force in the air defense role. The MiG-29 has gained in strength and ferocity after an upgrade, giving the Indian Air Force a much-needed boost. Equipped with the latest avionics and enormously powerful engines, this platform is now a potential game changer in an air-land battle at high altitudes. Today, 2 aircraft shall each launch 2 500 kg bombs to destroy an enemy advanced mounting area simulated by target number 9 in front of us, slightly to the right. Ladies and gentlemen, please look high towards your right, the first aircraft rolling into the dive. There he comes into the steady dive. Bombs away, look in front on your screens. Eyes now to the target. Number 2 following his leader into the attack. He comes from the right. On your screens, the bombs have been released. Eyes towards the target, ladies and gentlemen. Wait for the impact and explosion. There, the enemy is shaken by the tremendous blast.
Ladies and gentlemen, our AVAX has now conveyed ground coordinates of a large enemy logistic node to the Tejas, which had just fired the missile. The aircraft shall now demonstrate its swing roll capability by proceeding to engage ground targets in the same mission. The aircraft will now engage large enemy targets on the ground by employing conventional bombs. Ladies and gentlemen, look high, right above your shoulder, as the aircraft dives to engage the enemy logistic area. Each aircraft is armed with 2,000-pound bombs. Bombs gone. You can now visually see the bombs making their way to the target. There, the bombs impact. Look right again as number 2 and 3 follow their leader into the dive. Bombs gone. Our number 3 aircraft is the same Tejas which carried out air-to-air interception. Bombs away. Watch the bombs glide towards the target on your screens. Eyes on target now. Vital war supplies have been denied to the enemy.
To sustain its armor and mechanized columns, the enemy has established a large fuel storage area close to the battlefield. Our intelligence network has successfully located this area, which is depicted today by target number 11, in front of us, slightly displaced to the left. Such storage areas are generally constructed underground and are suitably hardened. To achieve a kill on such a target, the weapon of choice should be a high explosive penetration weapon, and today the S-24 rocket with a massive high explosive fragmentation warhead of 123 kgs is this weapon of choice, and in effect is almost akin to the bombs that you have been witnessing. Ladies and gentlemen, look left. You shall shortly see the lead aircraft. Look on the screens. Here he comes. He is in a steady dive now. The S-24 is away. Bullseye. Look left again. The wingman follows the leader into the attack. S-24 is away on your screens also. Well, this fuel storage area is now history.
Following the formidable MiG-27s is the small yet versatile fighter trainer of the Indian Air Force, the Hawk. The aircraft is a potent platform and packs quite a punch despite its size. The youngest pilots of the fighter stream are trained on the aircraft for a period of 1 year before reaching frontline fighter squadrons. Our remotely piloted aircraft has detected an enemy vehicle convoy moving vital war equipment to the front line. Ladies and gentlemen, keep a sharp lookout to your left. 2 aircraft, each carrying 32 rockets of 68mm caliber, are heading for the enemy vehicle convoy depicted by target number 12, straight ahead, slightly to the right. Ladies and gentlemen, look towards your left. You can now see the lead hawk rolling into the dive. In a steady dive now, the pilot now tracks the target, weapon selection's done, and wait for his deadly payload to release. Rockets away! The convoy is in a complete disarray. The second aircraft is already in the dive, following his leader. Good hits. The enemy has been dealt a major blow. Mission over. The Hawks make a quick getaway back to their base.
But we are not done yet. The aircraft are tasked with close air support operations and armed with an array of air-to-ground weaponry are primed for the kill. New intelligence inputs have revealed the location of an enemy operations room, the nerve center of the adversary's operations. This is target number 13, simulating the enemy's operation room. Look left, the leader rolling into the dive. Each Hawk is carrying 2 bombs of 1,000 pounds caliber. The number 1 is now in a steady dive, emerging from your left. He's locked on to the target. Bombs away. Eyes on target now. And there on the left, again, the second aircraft rolling into the dive, following his leader into the attack. Bombs away. Shortly, he's in the dive now. Look to your screens and follow the weapons to be released shortly. Bombs released. Eyes now to the target. Bullseye.
Forward Army recce elements have reported enemy tanks in their vicinity. The target is depicted by target number 14 to your left. On request for immediate battlefield airstrike by our Army elements, 2 MiG-21 Bison aircraft have been launched for a close air support mission. The Bison derives from the hardy MiG-21, the Indian Air Force's first ever supersonic fighter. Such an attack brings to mind the precision rocket strike by 4 MiG-21 aircraft on the governor's house in Dhaka, causing the governor of East Pakistan to tender his resignation. Today, both fighters shall fire 2 S-24 rockets each on the target. Look left. Ladies and gentlemen, the lead aircraft can be seen rolling into the dive. Flares dispensed. Rockets away! Ladies and gentlemen, look left once again. The number 2 following his leader. Flares dispensed. enemy tanks have been destroyed.
Taking counter-surface force operation missions deeper into enemy territory, our commander has now planned an attack over a concentration area of the enemy's ground forces. Two Sukhoi 30 MKIs are planned to drop 2200 kg bombs on target number 14 located in front of us. Ladies and gentlemen, look high towards your right. The Sukhoi 30 MKIs emerge. Keeping safely out of enemy ground fire, they will shortly drop a total of 44 bombs to flatten the target area from a medium altitude in a level release. Bombs away. Shift your eyes towards the target. Wait for the massive explosions. There you see, imagine the plight of the enemy caught in such a torrent.
While the battle rages on ground, our commander, to ensure no interference from any enemy fighters, has tasked a Su-30 armed with Astra air-to-air beyond visual range missiles for an air dominance mission over this sector. Missiles like the Astra, made in India, give us tremendous assurance in terms of our ability to conduct and sustain operations on our own terms. These and similar such technological breakthroughs shall be crucial for the Indian Air Force to incrementally imbibe more and more indigenous content, thus allowing the brilliant youth of our country an increasing say and a stake in the defense of their nation. Ladies and gentlemen, look left. You can see a Su-30 armed with the deadly Astra missile approaching the battlefield. Scanning the airspace, the pilot has spotted an enemy air defense fighter on his onboard radar in his left sector. Our supremely trained pilot shall now maneuver his fighter to get into launch position. And here he turns hard left. The Astra streaks off to knock the enemy fighter out of sky at distances in excess of 25 kilometers. The impacts will only be visible in case of exceptional visibility.
While the aerial battle rages high up in the skies, a pair of ALH Mark IV attack helicopters is fast approaching their target in another part of the battlefield. The two helicopters have been launched on a strike mission to seek out and target a large concentration of enemy troops. The open ground right in front of us is where these enemy troops have been seen by our surveillance teams. The coordinates were passed and the battlefield strike mission was immediately launched. Zeroing in onto the coordinates, you shall shortly hear the attack helicopters approaching us from behind the grandstand. And here they come from the left and right edge of the grandstand, ready to open up their 20mm turret guns. Please notice that while the aircraft nose would point straight, the guns would turn by 30 degrees or more to fire at the enemy at the field straight ahead, demonstrating the off-board sight capability of this aircraft. Did you hear the gunfire? The helicopters are strafing the area. The deadly burst of 20mm rounds are neutralizing the enemy on the ground.
As the sun sets over the vast empty desert, you can see an SHBO mission approaching our battlefield from the left. For today's mission, they are flying high above the ground. But in operations, the helicopters shall fly nap of the earth just a few feet above the sand dunes. The mission aims to show you how special forces are inserted into the enemy territory by helicopters. The SHBO is escorted by a pair of heavily armed ALH Mark IV or Rudra helicopters. Behind them, you will see a Mi-17 V5 helicopter of the Indian Air Force. The Mi-17s are capable of undertaking deployment of commandos and troops by night, even in starlit night conditions, with pilots wearing night vision goggles. The ALH Mark IVs set up a protective combat air patrol or CAP over the area. They shall be continuously scanning the area visually as well as with the help of cameras and pods. Armed with 20mm guns, the aircraft are ever ready to neutralize any enemy interference like you just saw in the previous mission. We can now see the Mi-17 V5 approaching the drop zone. After evaluating the nature of the ground and obstructions around, the pilot opts to deploy the special forces from a low hover jump.
Ladies and gentlemen, notice the helicopter as the pilot, using his superior skills, is making a deliberate approach to establish a pinpoint hover on the landing spot. The helicopter stabilizes in a low hover, just inches above the ground. The commandos swiftly jump out of the aircraft, quickly moving to the sides to take defensive positions. Notice how Garud commandos take control of the landing area and scan for any threats. Ladies and gentlemen, in no time the entire squad in vicinity of the enemy radar. Helicopter departs at low level to avoid any detection by the enemy. The Garuds, meanwhile, are forming up in a tactical squad and proceeding to the target area.
While this team makes its way to the target, let us showcase to you another SHPO for which our special forces and helicopter pilots regularly train. You might recall the 26/11 dastardly attacks in Mumbai, during which a helicopter was used to slither commandos onto a rooftop. Now here you can see a Mi-17 V5 with Garud Special Forces on board to demonstrate how they can deploy troops on any tall building in our cities and neutralize terrorists hiding inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please look to your right. The small two-storied white building depicts a high-rise in any one of our cities where a few terrorists have holed up, holding civilian hostage. The helicopter comes to hover over the roof. The flight gunner has released the rope from the helicopter and Garuds start to slither down from the roof. Ladies and gentlemen, to slither down from the helicopter, the Garud commandos are equipped with special mittens to avoid blistering of hands. Notice that Garud commandos are not secured by any safety lines and they have to rely entirely on training and strength of their arms. Watch now as two Garud descend through power ascenders to place explosive charges on the windows. Notice how quietly the Garud commandos have lowered themselves down and are placing the charges on the windows. And as quietly, they are sent back to the roof. Notice the daredevilry and the superhuman training, as now the assault party of 4 troops of Garud Special Forces rappel down to neutralize the unsuspecting terrorists. Reaching above the windows, they pause. Detonating the charges, the Garud swing in through the shattered windows. The terrorists holed up inside are caught by surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, all the terrorists have been neutralized.
Meanwhile, the second team can be seen approaching a door in the adjacent building. You can now see the demolition expert place a breaching explosive charge on the door. The Garuds now enter the building. They have cornered the terrorists. The elite Garud commandos have neutralized the terrorists. Mission over. The two teams form up and withdraw along with the rescued hostage.
Meanwhile, our first team of Garud Special Forces has located the enemy radar and is now approaching their objective. Four buddy pairs had established a support fire base at an advantageous height, some distance away from the radar. The main assault party can be seen moving silently in tactical formation towards the target. Demolition experts in the team fix demolition charges on the radar. The rest of the team maintains eye on the surroundings. Charges planted, the team quietly withdraws and makes its way for the pre-planned extrication point. Enemy not suspecting a thing. The radar is put out of action, creating the vital blind corridor that our fighter missions require in this area. This mission is a part of the Garud's primary role, which is termed as destruction of enemy air assets.
War demands concentration of force at the right time and at the right place to tilt the balance of battle. The Indian Air Force has this ability of changing the equation of a land battle by rapidly inserting troops and weaponry through the medium of air. Aircraft like the AN-32 and now the C-130J regularly trained to land on advanced landing grounds or any disused airstrip. At the Army's behest, our commander has quickly planned such an assault landing by a C-130J Super Hercules close to the battlefield, which shall now be demonstrated on the advanced landing ground right in front of you. The Indian Air Force's C-130J Super Hercules is a highly integrated and sophisticated configuration, primarily designed to support India's special operations requirement. Equipped with infrared detection set, the aircraft can perform precision low-level flying, airdrops, and landing in blackout conditions. The aircraft also is equipped with air-to-air receiver refueling capability for extended range operations. The C-130J is not just a cargo transport. Its range of missions include special operations, aerial refueling, search and rescue, paradrop, electronic surveillance, and even weather reconnaissance. The C-130J allows the Indian Air Force to operate the aircraft autonomously, day or night, and in all weather, anywhere it needs to go. Look towards your right, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the aircraft flying in. To avoid being detected by any radar that may be present in the vicinity, the aircraft has come in at low levels. You can now see the aircraft putting up a bank. It is slowly aligning itself to land on the strip right in front of us. Notice how the aircraft is coming in at low levels. It is aiming to touch down in the least possible time. And here, the aircraft touches the ground and rapidly starts to decelerate. While offloading the troops, the aircraft will keep its engine running for a quick departure.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes towards the rear of the aircraft. The ramp opens, and swiftly and steadily, the Garud starts to jump off. Every Garud commando has his eyes scanning the vicinity for any threat. The Garud commandos are trained extensively for these kinds of operations. The special forces fan out along the strip, securing it. The ramps start to close and the aircraft accelerates to reach the other end of the advanced landing strip. The C-130J Super Hercules gives our Air Force tremendous flexibility in planning and executing not just special operations like this, but also our tactical airlift capability and reach during humanitarian assistance and disaster relief or HADR operations. The possibility of innovative employability of this versatile platform for a variety of operations is endless. The aircraft now gears up for a maximum power short field takeoff. Notice the extremely short distance that the aircraft shall take to get airborne. The aircraft gets airborne within a short distance and rapidly climbs away. While it approaches the grandstand, let us have a look at a short film on this formidable aircraft. And here he comes, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for C-130 Super Hercules aircraft.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next display is about the Indian Air Force's aerial firefighting capability possessed by the Mi-17 V5 of the helicopter fleet. The helicopter operates a collapsible water container called the Bambi bucket, which it deploys using an external sling system in its firefighting capability. Each bucket has a release valve on the bottom which is controlled by the helicopter crew. Let us now take a look at a small clip on Bambi bucket operations.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming in from your left are two helicopters which will demonstrate Bambi bucket operation over the fire lit up right in front of you. We must bring out the fact that discharging water exactly over fire requires very precise piloting skills. This is due to the continuous and random oscillations of the bucket and also the thermal currents due fire. This capability has been extensively used to quickly reach and suppress inaccessible forest fires at Mount Abu and Kota in the recent past. Bambi bucket operations have also been conducted in the challenging urban environment of New Delhi. Recently, for the first time in India, this capability was exploited on a burning ship at sea. You can now see the second helicopter align itself to bring blaze further under control. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. The fire has been put out. Due to the challenges and restrictions faced by the ground-based fire tenders, it can be well understood that utilization of helicopters for firefighting operations, like the one we just witnessed, can prove extremely critical in damage mitigation. The helicopters keep carrying out sortie after sortie, refilling their Bambi bucket at the nearest water source to return back to fight the fire till such time the blaze is extinguished.
And now we present you one of the key behind the scenes aircraft that has been orchestrating the various aircraft missions like clockwork over the last 1 hour. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Embraer Airborne Early Warning and Control Aircraft, a product of collaboration between India's Center for Airborne System and the DRDO. This Airborne Control Center can stay aloft for almost 12 hours, providing radar coverage from high up in the sky. Look towards your left, ladies and gentlemen. You can see a single aircraft making its way towards us. Now notice the radar antenna mounted on its back. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the Embraer Airborne Early Warning and Control Aircraft. This system is developed to serve the Indian Air Force in detection and tracking, identification and classification of threats, display of air situation pictures, and multi-sensor data integration. This, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to an end of the day targeting phase of the demonstration. During the past 1 hour, we saw our Air Force commander conduct air operations to gain mastery of the air by destroying enemy fighters, disabling his runways, degrading his communication, destroying command and control centers, blowing up his fuel dumps, and shooting down his fighter aircraft. Simultaneously, we also saw him conduct extensive air-to-ground missions in aid of army units against the enemy's surface forces by targeting his armor, road convoys, logistics, ammunition dumps
Falls on the
by the Air Warrior Symphony Orchestra. of the